When CDPR announced that Ciri would be the protagonist of The Witcher 4, the fanbase exploded. Reactions ranged from immense hype to outright rage. Some fans were excited to see her take the lead, while others had serious doubts. They argued that Ciri was either too powerful or that the idea of a female Witcher broke the lore. In this video, we will cover these debates, discussing whether Ciri can work as the protagonist and whether her being a Witcher fits into the world established by the books and games. As I mentioned, the announcement certainly got the fanbase talking. Some welcomed Ciri's return as the protagonist, while others hated it. But even before CDPR made it official, fans were already speculating. One of the most popular ideas was to have a customizable protagonist similar to V from Cyberpunk. A character with a defined storyline but customizable appearance. For some reason, a noticeable number of fans simply didn't like Ciri, regardless of whether she being a Witcher was against the lore or not. This is normal. Every character doesn't resonate with everyone. Some just don't like her, and that's okay. Personally, I like Ciri, but then again, I'm a fan of everything Witcher. I love the main characters, the side characters, the books, the games. Not you Netflix Witcher, you stay in the corner. But not all fans share that view. And to make my point, let's look at a highly authentic poll where Ciri was far from being popular. Totally authentic poll, by the way. Just ignore the number of voters, alright? Joking aside, I would say around 20 to 30% of fans were against Ciri being the main character, and when she was confirmed, many were not happy. Even her appearance in the trailer sparked controversy. Some fans argued that she didn't look like Ciri at all, or that the model wasn't good. But then we got behind the scene footage and we got this picture of Ciri's in-game model, which many, including myself, liked much more. The developers clarified that it was the same model, and I think the cinematic trailer simply made her look different. This happens often. If you remember, Geralt looked different in a cinematic trailer too. But that's the side issue. Now let's dive into the important question. Does making Ciri a Witcher break the lore? And then discuss whether or not she will work as a protagonist in general. A big concern for some fans is that Ciri is overpowered, especially due to her elder blood. In The Witcher 3, we see her slicing through the wild hunt like butter, while Geralt is struggling. Ciri was literally one-shotting enemies. This left some fans worried that she'd be too strong to be the protagonist, but that's nothing CDPR can't fix. They could balance the gameplay to ensure that she doesn't just breathe through everything. In fact, an even more interesting idea involves her unique abilities. Ciri, as a lady of time and space, has the power to travel between the worlds. So CDPR could theoretically introduce a mechanic where Ciri travels to unknown realms, fighting monsters and facing challenges that make her struggle. Even in The Witcher 3, we had the Unseen Elder, a powerful entity we're unsure if Ciri could defeat. This could give the developers chance to create compelling and challenging experience while still allowing Ciri to be a powerful character. However, it seems none of that is happening, and CDPR has chosen to make Ciri a Witcher, which likely means her Elder Blood powers will either be nerfed or removed entirely. This leads us to another problem. Is Ciri, or a female Witcher in general, against the lore? The answer to that is both yes and no. Bear with me and I tell you why. Yes, there has never been a female Witcher ever. Some brought up Dragonfly, but that's not canon. That was from pen and paper game back in the days. However, some fans point to this reference in the books, suggesting the possibility of creating female Witchers. The text mentions that experiments were done on girls, but all of them died, and possibly afterwards they stopped trying. This reasoning can easily backfire because it can strengthen the argument that you can't have female Witchers because they tried it on them and they all died. But you could also argue that yes, the chance is much lower, but if they kept subjecting girls to the trials, one could survive. 1 in 1,000 maybe. There is also the case of Black Ryla. Her journal entry from The Witcher 1 reads, "I met the mercenary again. Salamandra found her close to death and subjected her to mutations. Ryla recuperated and, as a mutant, regained her strength in no time. In return for her second life, she had to swear absolute loyalty to her new masters. She tried to stop me and I had to kill her. For good this time." This is much stronger argument. It changes many things, although we have no way of knowing whether she was mutated the same way Witchers do, but we can definitely say that she was mutated. So yes, you could theoretically have a female Witcher, while the chance of survival is very low. Ciri is no ordinary character. She is one of the strongest in the Witcher universe, and that may make her the exception. So while it's a stretch, it doesn't completely break the law. It just goes against what has so far been established. But there is another issue, the age problem. Only children are supposed to survive the trial of grasses because it's deadly for adults. Ciri is an adult, but again, she is not a normal person. She is the lady of time and space, so perhaps she could survive the trial. There is also Ryla, who was an adult when mutated, so maybe CDPR will come up with a different explanation. Either way, this is a challenge they need to address. So, does choosing Ciri as a Witcher break the law? Technically, no, but it certainly is on the edge of doing so, and it all depends on how CDPR handles it. Which brings us to the next important question. Will Ciri work as the protagonist? Before moving on to the next section, I would like to ask you to take a moment and, if you like this video, to like and subscribe, as that greatly helps the channel grow. Well, it makes sense when you look at the larger story. In a lot of franchises, a strong, well-established character like Geralt takes an apprentice, in this case Ciri. Over time, the apprentice learns from the master, grows stronger, and embarks on his or her own adventure. So, it was natural that after Geralt sort of retires, Ciri would step into the role of protagonist. One of the endings of Witcher 3 even showed Ciri starting her path as a Witcher. Geralt himself called her a Witcher, and now that she has gone through the trials, she is technically and physically a Witcher. This build-up started long before the games, back in the books, where Princess Cirilla was adopted by Geralt. After some time they got separated and Ciri started her own epic, yet painful journey, and their story together is a key part of the Witcher saga. In fact, Ciri was central to large chunk of the books, and in The Witcher 3 we also play as her at certain points, so yes, Ciri was a natural choice. Now, will she work as a protagonist? If we look at it purely from the perspective of who is the main character, then the answer is yes. Ciri has a rich backstory. She was already a Witcher in spirit, and now she is one in every sense. She is young, strong, and ready to take on the world. With Ciri as the protagonist, we will likely see our beloved characters, Geralt, Yennefer, Zoltan, Triss, Dandelion, and more, because she has close ties with them. Plus, there's an opportunity for a new character. Maybe she'll have a close friend like Geralt had with Dandelion. So yes, Ciri can work as the protagonist, but that's not enough. The story needs to be compelling, the characters well written, and the gameplay mechanics engaging. Ciri is a solid choice, but if the story is bad, it won't matter. I love the Witcher universe and can't wait for the new games. Sure, we'll have to wait until 2027 or 28, but I'm hopeful that it all works for the best and we'll get to explore the Witcher world once more. Well, that was it for today's video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, as that greatly helps the channel grow. And let me know down in the comments, do you think Ciri was a good choice? Or you believe she being a Witcher breaks the law? I'm excited to see your views. Thank you for watching again, and until the next time, goodbye.